Hey guys, today I've got a new video for you. This is a pretty different format than the last videos, and today I just want to talk about some budget decks you can definitely play if you want to, play Yu-Gi-Oh without breaking the bank. And just let me know what you think of this. I will just cover up some decks which topped in the last weeks, and let's hop just right into it. As you can see right here, we already got one list, which is Tenpai. And now, don't get me wrong, this list right here is definitely way too expensive. If you look at this, 3 Mulchami Perulia, 3 Fuvalos, 3 Dominus Impulse, this deck is way too expensive. It's way too expensive. So you should not buy this just because these cards, I'm just saying this is budget. Don't buy this as a budget deck because it's not a budget deck. You can't buy this with 100, maybe 150. And I think if you look at the engine right here, it's definitely under 150. I'm not saying buy everything, just don't, For the most decks, of course, I'm excluding the non-engine, but in this deck, of course, Perulia and Fuvalos and Impulse are pretty much mandatory, but they aren't really, because these are definitely good cards, don't get me wrong. But the good thing about Tenpai is that it does not lose to Perulia and it does not lose to Fuvalos just because of the fact that it's a going second deck. And of course, this deck is way better if you play it with these cards and the Dominus Impulse, because these are really good cards. They are really good, don't get me wrong about this, but you can definitely just play other cards, because if you look at the other cards in this deck, there is no expensive card right here. Like the Pydra is maybe the most most expensive one with €5, or it's $14. And the others are like cent cards. The Genroku is also a little bit more expensive. And that's basically it about the main deck. So you maybe have Prosperity, but Prosperity has been put to 1, so it's really cheap right now. And for the main deck, it's of course non-engine, but I will not count non-engine right here because most of you guys should have all the non-engine. That's why, you can definitely just put these out, these 9 cards, put in like a third Raigeki, put in Forbidden Droplets, put in Veilers. There are many, just alternatives to play. So just go for these. Maybe you can even play Kaijus, you can play the Santa Claus. And if you look at the extra deck, there is basically no expensive card. So these are all cards which got a reprint. Kuibelt is a common. These are commons. This is super rare. The Trident just got a reprint. This may be the most expensive out of the extra deck with €10. So if you look at this is €5. This is 4 euros, and that's it for the engine, which are expensive. Maybe the Magnamut, which is €2. So the whole deck core is right about maybe €50, and you don't even have to play these link cards. Like, you don't have to play the Promethean Princess because you don't go into this that often. And of course, the seals you have to play, but it's a 20-cent card. So these are all really, really cheap cards. And if you look at the side deck, the Heatwave still holds some value, but the other cards are really cheap. So that's it about Tenpai. Play this if you want to. This is a deck list from the top 8 at Melbourne WCQ Regional, so it's a really good list. Then the second budget deck we've got here is Spright, and this variant even plays Christia. And if you look at this, there is no expensive card right here. So the most expensive card is maybe the Swap Frog and the Mirror Mage, and that's about it. Basically, I mean, you have blues, but blue is only €2. Starter is a little bit more expensive, but there's no card that is more than €5. And of course, he plays Thrust right here, but just don't play it. Play something else. Maybe you can play 3 Talents, or you play, I don't know, there are many variants. Maybe 3 Droplets, or like Veilers, the 3rd Imperm. There are many possible cards you can play. And if you look at the extra deck, you've got Spright, which costs nothing. The Mosquito costs nothing. The Totally Awesome is a €5 card. And then we've got Zeus and Sky Crisis, which Sky Crisis pretty much and the Silhouette Rabbit are the most expensive cards right here, and the SP, but you don't have to play this. And most players already have these, so this is a really cheap deck, and side deck is also nothing really expensive. Then we've got the Gimmick Puppet deck, and this is basically it's the same. Of course, there are Thrusts, which Thrusts have been reprinted, so there are cheaper alternatives to the it was like at 40, now it's at 20, I think. And but you don't have to play this. You can just play it without it, and maybe play like more board breakers, or more of a hand trap approach. It's an FTK deck either way, so just there's really nothing expensive here except for the Thrust. So even if you play it with Thrust, you still only have like a 120 euro deck. So and this is also regional runner-up. Is runner-up the first place? I don't know. It's just, it looks really solid, and it's still a good deck. And if you want to, you can even play the Horus engine in here. And then we've got Drytron, and for Drytron, same thing as before. You don't have to play Fuvalos, you don't have to play Thrust, and the only expensive cards with Drytron is the Drytron Nova. And then of course we've got the SP, but if you want to, you can still play the Nightmare Unicorn to if you don't have the money for the SP. So there are many options for this deck, and this is the only card with like 20 euros or $17, and the rest of the deck is really cheap. So I really like it, and the extra deck, the side deck is also really cheap. And for the extra deck, the only expensive card is maybe the Zeus, and that's it, and the SP of course. Then we've got the next deck, which is Scareclaw Mannadium, and in the Mannadium deck there's basically no expensive card left. So we've got the Realm Heart. The Realm Heart is, and by the way, this is a top 4 regional deck profile, so it really is a good, or at least the player was good, but the deck is also good. And in here, if you look at the main deck, the most expensive card is Fenrir, and you could say that Fenrir is even non-engine, which many people already have, and it's a 12 euro card. And maybe then the Druid's Worm, but you don't even have to play it because this is basically non-engine. So you can just skip those and play something else. And you can, for these cards you can definitely just play 1 Magnamut and 1 Baldrake if you don't want to spend the money on Druid's Worm. And the rest is basically, talents. The non-engine is a little bit expensive. And maybe then the Chaos Angel with 7 euros, and the Changying costs a little bit. The Crimson Dragon costs a little bit. The Exiled Synchro Stardust Dragon is really cheap. And then of course you have the Disparter and the SP, but you can, as always, just play something else for SP. And that's basically it. The side deck, you always have Thrust, but just don't play it. If you want to, you can just, except for the Thrust, just play 3 D-Barrier for Tenpai matchup. And this deck is super good, and it's a good Then we've got another Spright variant, the Evil Twin Spright variant. The Live Twin cards are really expensive. You can just easily get them, and they are all like, you pay like, look at this, it's 48 cents, and this is like 20 cents, and this also 20 cents. And the extra deck cards, yeah, I just needed to check the extra deck cards because there are really high prices right here, but these are not correct. They are just like cent cards. The Evil Twin Link monsters, and also the Troubled Sunny is a really cheap card. And then you of course got the SP and the Typhon, but the rest is really cheap. Also all the runic cards. The only expensive cards is Tip and then Fountain for €1. So you can just get this whole core for maybe about 50 bucks, maybe 60. And then of course, if you already have SP, nice, but you can always substitute this for like a Nightmare Unicorn. And yeah, that's it about this list. Just note, Mulchami Perulia, you can definitely just play another card in the extra deck, in the side deck. And then the last deck I wanted to show you is Memento, because this actually got a little bit, yeah, it just does not cost that much anymore, because it's not that high meta relevant right now. It's still a really good deck if you know how to pilot it. It's a really complicated deck, but if you're up to the challenge, the Bone Party and the Anguish are expensive, but that's basically it. The rest of the deck is really cheap. You can definitely yeah, play it's in, like, if you look at the cards in the extra deck, like the Guardian Chimera just got reprinted. This is a super rare. The SP, as always, in every deck profile there's an SP because it's a really good card, but you can definitely play without it. But if I just can say that if you buy it, it's a really good investment because it's just good in every deck. So you can get deck cores for really cheap, but the SP is just good in every deck. So just go for it if you have the money, of course. If not, just go for Nightmare Unicorn. And then the rest is really like the Silhouette Rabbit. I don't know why there is no other rune, but there's the Silhouette Trick in the side deck. You can just cut this card at all. Like, just don't play it. Or you can just go for the other rune or the other card in the main deck. And yeah, there's just no other expensive cards. It really is good because you can definitely play the Fiendsmith engine in this to make it more consistent, because you can get to Goblin with the Fiendsmith engine, but you can also get to Goblin with the Goblin Biker Grand Breakout, because this special summons a Goblin monster from the deck. So it's a really, really, yeah, consistent deck, because you pretty much have 3 Anguish as a starter, 3 Darkblade as a starter, Goblin is a starter, and the Goblin Biker Grand Breakout is also a starter. And you can also play the 1-for-1. So this is overall a really good deck. And yeah, these are all the decks I wanted to show you. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. And if you liked the video, please let me know. And have a nice day and stay safe.